Hi, thank you so much for coming back. I'm Catherine O'Brien at happywithbaby.com, and today I'm here with Michelle Peterson, and she's actually the author of the book 7 Sisters for 7 Days, a mother's manual for community-based postpartum care. So I actually have her book here, which is really awesome. So Michelle, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about, kind of what compelled you to get into your work with maternal mental health and just this whole, I love this idea of community-based postpartum care, because I know that's like a huge issue I speak to moms about all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have 2 boys, and with my first postpartum, I was one of the first people in my group that got pregnant. I felt wildly isolated. I didn't know what to ask for. I was like this really strong, self-directed woman. I can handle it. It annihilated me. Like I couldn't make food for myself. My son, I'd wear him in the Moby, and you'd have to bounce to get him to sleep.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to make food and just go to the bathroom, just do anything. And it was really hard. And my husband at the time worked really long hours, would be home, leave at 8 a.m., be home 9 p.m. And it's just we didn't know. We set it up that way. He kept doing what he was doing, not knowing.
Right.
And I'm at home with the baby. I didn't have any mom friends yet besides my midwife. And I just felt so isolated, depleted. And then I had health issues crop up, probably because I was so depleted. Right. And after going through that, it was harrowing. And I didn't let myself fully feel how hard it was, probably until I got pregnant again. But I spent 3 years healing thyroid issues, gut issues, adrenal fatigue at 31. And then we finally got pregnant with our second. And all I could think about was, I don't want to do that again. It's all I could think about. And then it hit me how hard it really was. Because I was like, I can't be that isolated again. To me, it was like the killer of dreams, like just being in, a fog by myself. And I think a lot of people are afraid to say that's happening because they think that it means they don't love their baby, or they're, people are going to judge that they don't love being a mother. And, I tell moms it's okay to work out that it's a big life transition. It just is. And I think we're afraid to talk about it. So,
right. Well, and we weren't meant to do it by ourselves, right? Like it's hard because we're not meant to do it by ourselves.
Not at all. And everyone's so isolated now. And it's like the nuclear family has really isolated people and belief systems and however you want to name it. So that was the inspiration, was I'm not going to go through this again. And then I hired a doula, a postpartum doula. She got pregnant and I had to come up with something. So I created a system with my family and friends. And one of my dear sisters was like, why don't you just have all us come and help you? I think that's a really good idea. And that's how it started. But the seed was, I'm not doing it like that again. Yeah. And then the whole system that I created was born of just from my need. And then other women started doing it. And then my midwife asked me to teach it. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just put it in a book, because I want other moms to use this and families, because I don't want them to have to suffer like I did. Yeah. Because it's really not, your family and friends want to help, but they don't often know what to do. So it spells it out.
And we often don't know what to tell them. I mean, that's what I get a lot. Like, I don't even know what to ask for. Like, I don't know what to tell people I want. Or the other piece being, and maybe you can speak to this, is like, how do you ask for help? Because, and I tell moms and dads all the time, like, I'm guessing there's people that have said, like, let me know what you need. And you're like, oh, okay. And you just kind of like brush it off. But it's like, I think for the most part, people do really want to help you. It's just, you just have to tell them what you need. And I think on some level it's getting past like what ourselves too, and being able to ask for it. And like, of course you have to ask for it. Like, none of us need to do this by ourselves, or suffer or anything like that. So. No.
And for new moms, right? How are they going to know what they need? And it's not like they want to hear, this might be really hard. Like, nobody wants to hear that. And you don't want to say it, And so,
and I think we think it's not going to, like, I think we're like, oh no, because I have this, I have a good support system. I mean, I was a therapist and I had a great husband. I thought, what could go wrong in my relationship? And then I was like, holy moly, like how could it not? Like, sleep deprivation and, not getting adequate nutrients and all those things.
It's really funny, isn't it? Like, I was getting projectile vomited on,
Oh
and
yeah.
my hair would be full of milk, and it's really funny. I mean, you look back on it, and it is funny. And I tell moms that too. Like, you're gonna look back, and you're gonna remember. I remember being up at 3 a.m. under the moonlight, doing the balance dance, and it's a sweet memory. Even though at the time I'm like, I'm so tired, but it is really beautiful. But I'm so tired, And so, in terms of getting clear on what you need, if it's a new mom, I really encourage people that work with moms to get them into some kind of community group where they can talk to other families.
I always have my ways where I suggest people to look, but maybe you have some other ideas. Like, how do you encourage moms and dads, like, to find their community support? Like, what avenues do you tell them to look? Because I think sometimes we don't know how to look for it.
Yeah, and a big piece is not everyone has community awareness in their life or even thinks like that. That's huge. That's like, we don't ask for help, and that's big in our culture. But if they're doing it through a midwifery center or a birth center or through a hospital that has groups, they can get connected with those groups. That's the easiest way it's happened. But if they're not connected in that way, and they come across the system through the book or through someone who facilitates it, say it's someone who comes across it through the book, which is the people that often have the hardest time developing it because they don't have those outer connections. I'm trying to think. I might ask them or suggest to them to join a baby wearing group or mother's group or the Leche League. But the biggest roadblock I hit with people is they don't want to ask. And I've had people hire me for consulting and then not build a team many times. And then I hear from them a couple months later when they're having a hard time. And that's the biggest hurdle. But, the first one is bringing the awareness that they're going to need it. Because a lot of people, no, I'm not going to need that. I have what I need. And then the second is being willing to ask for help and seeing the value in it, the big picture, how it will benefit not only the mother and the child, but bonding, the relationship, the marriage, if they're married, or their partnership. All of it. I mean, you're building a foundation of wellness. You're building it on strength, not depletion. So I think building an awareness of how to act and think like a community, which means being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to tell people what you need, which for women is a big one. I mean, this is a whole other book work that I'm working on. That's just around the emotional blocks that I kept hitting with people I was meeting. I was like, wow, these women have a really hard time receiving. You're going to be tired, depleted, and also a lot of great stuff that outweighs it, but let's build you up. So,
Right.
Because we look at our divorce rates the first year after a child, right? Don't they skyrocket after the first year of a child coming in?
Yeah, like 90% report marital dissatisfaction that first year. That's like a staggering percentage rate. And it's like, it doesn't get better, over time. It's still around like 70% 3 years later. So,
I see it all the time.
So I think community support is so huge because we need that. And because it can't just be me and my partner, right? Like, you can't sustain that long term. And then I think it's like having that community base for your mental health well-being. Like, that was one of my things. It's like going to these moms groups was like, oh, this was like a sanity saver. I just needed to get out of the house and go somewhere where I saw other people, whether I talked or not. Like, I just kind of needed to see that other people were doing it too, because I had no clue what I was doing. Yeah.
I had this one mom, we became friends when our babies mine was 6 months, hers was 1 month. Their boys are best friends now, but we both were like pulling our hair out. And we had each other to reflect, and like, I felt really crazy today. I'm so tired. I haven't slept. She's like, me too. And I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one. Cause you start to think
you're the only one.
It's your first, you're the only one. You've never, when else have you been sleep deprivation and
not like this, because people are like, oh, I've been tired. I went to college. I did all-nighters multiple months in a row, like all-nighters. No, like there's like no fatigue, like new parent fatigue. Like there's really no way to explain it. And And I'll tell people like, I mean, they do torture people with sleep deprivation. Like this is like a real thing and going crazy, but just, you know, kind of speaking to that, I've run some moms groups, and it is never have I had a mom say like, I felt this way about something and had no one say, oh, I felt that way too. There's always someone else that's like, oh yeah, I felt that way. Oh yeah, that's happening to me. Or you'll get through it because I remember when it happened to me. Like there's always, we all have, even as different as we are, there's so many similarities and feelings and stuff that we experience. So what do you want all moms to know about like maternal mental health and like the importance of, you know, even this book that you've written?
The main thing is recognizing the importance of, you know, valuing themselves enough to take good care of themselves and to ask for help. And it's not just like salt baths or a glass of wine or getting away. It's building foundations, because you're going to be giving so much of yourself inherently. It's just what most mothers, all mothers I've ever met do. They just give, and fathers, right? And so recognizing that, you know, we cherish what we value. And I always make a joke. I've said this in so many interviews. You know, people, when they're planning a trip, they go on TripAdvisor and they like research the heck out of it. Like, how about you plan for your postpartum like that? Because it's pretty important, you know, and invest in not just the products, but maybe hiring a doula or a chef, and I get not everyone can do that, but just getting creative in how you can make it easier on yourself. Because there's always, I'm of the mind, there's always a way. So if it's a money thing, then you figure out, freeze a lot of meals, but just invest in you, because you're going to give. And you're not just investing in you, you're investing in your child, and you're investing in your partnership, if you have one, and everyone benefits when the mom is thriving. And the other piece is it will pass. It's only temporary, and it's good to have a really good sense of humor and recognize that it's temporary. Because you know, one of my practices is, I call it radical acceptance, where it's just loving what is. So if your house is a mess and you're too tired to clean it, embrace it. It's chaos. It's chaos. Embrace it. You have children. That's what I do. I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. I'm not going to fight with reality. Okay. I'll clean it when I do. What's most important, everyone's fed and we're stable. So, you know, pieces like that, but really recognizing the value in caring for each other, you know, and letting people help. And the thing about community groups is everyone's going to pass it on. Almost every 7 sister that I had in my postpartum, I served them in one way or another. I think 5 out of 7 of them, you know, and then we all cross-pollinated and helped each other. It's not like you're the sole receiver. You'll pass it on, and you'll want to, because you'll see the value in it. So it's a circle.
I love that. So how do you balance everything as a mom and working and I meditate morning and night. So it might sound like a little thing, but to me, it changed my life. I get up at 15 minutes earlier and I start the day. I don't go to a phone or nothing. I just sit and I get quiet and I breathe, and then I do it before I go to bed. And my kids will come in and sit with me if they wake up. They know it's what mom does, and I just center. But I also, one of my main things is I, you know, take care of my adrenals. You know, I work with my naturopath. Something's making noise on my phone right now, on my computer. I don't know what's happening, but it'll stop, I think. Hold on. Sorry. No, that's okay.
Technology. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. Adrenals, meditation, all my herbs and supplements with my naturopath, and I'll kind of call it shut it down, where I won't go out, I won't socialize. I'll literally shut everything down until I'm full up. I do my little mini baby moon, right? I'm like, everybody's out until I'm balanced, because I know the cost of it, and I have to. I mean, I'm a single mom now. I mean, their dads, I'm doing a lot. I'm with the kids full time pretty much. So I'm doing that. I'm working, taking care of my horses, my business. I have to, you know, or.
Well, I like how you said, like, valuing yourself, and now your kids even know, like, oh, like they know how to make sure, you know, to give you that space, like, oh, mom's meditating, so I can sit with her, but I'm not going to ask of her. Like you've set that boundary for them. And I think that's really important. That's awesome.
It kind of blows my mind because my youngest is 4.5 and he's a tornado of energy.
Yeah.
He came in this morning and he sat on my lap and he said, wrap the shawl around me, and he sits.
Yeah.
It just, he like, this is what happens. And who would have thought?
Yeah. No.
People say my kids will never sit still, and you'd be surprised. I mean,
Well, I think when they see us take care of ourselves, like they learn, they watch everything we do, right? And the good, the bad, the ugly, Yeah. So it's like everything. They're going to pick up on it. Like it might not be immediately, but eventually they'll pick up on it and they'll know. And like, oh, mom, this is mom's time. This is her space. we don't have to keep giving because they ask. Like we've got to have those limits too, and they learn to have those boundaries. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's a healthy distinction. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you feel like is your greatest personal struggle with your experience as motherhood?
For me, with my first, it was the loss of identity and not knowing how to, that was big. That was hard for me. Who am I now? I just felt like I was at home all the time, and you're not supposed to, I'm grateful I get to stay at home with them. And of course I did it for 6 years, but it was the loss of identity and just that big change and trying to figure out how to be in the world. I had a lot of friendships change because I was always the one that took care of everybody, but I'd be like the one that people come to with stuff. And you're a mom with a baby. It's like everybody out, I'm busy, and so I had a lot of friendships change, and that was the hardest part. And not sleeping. Yeah.
What do you feel is the greatest lesson that you've learned as a mom?
How to embrace things as they are.
That's a big one.
Because your kids, they're unpredictable. It's been the best thing for me is just, this is what's happening now. Because what's frustrating, right? You have a new baby and they'll do this thing where they get in a sleep cycle and then you'll get comfortable and then they change it.
Yes, always. Right when you think you know what you're doing, they change it.
Right. So that was really hard for me. I was like, oh, we're in this. No, it's changed again now. I'm like, okay, this is, with my second, it was like, this is just what he's doing now.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
That really helped me.
Yeah.
And that's a great, I think, life practice because you let go.
Absolutely.
Or not. Yeah.
Well, what is, if you can only have one, what's one piece of advice you'd like to give other mothers going through this time?
My main thing is, my main thing would be to value yourself and what you're giving. Like I said earlier, see the importance in taking care of yourself and setting up systems of support. Be willing to receive help, really recognize the value of getting care. And you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. And if, with moms, if you don't have a mother's group, create one. That's what I did. Yes. Because I needed it. And it became a big thing. Now it's huge. Another mom took over. There's like 300 members.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, and there's so many ways now to be able to create your own mom's group. But I can guarantee you, if you can't find a group that you want to be in, create one, because there's moms that need your group. Absolutely. There's so many moms that are lonely. Like I talk to moms all the time that just can't find their people, their group, which is really hard. So it's like, you can go on Facebook and create groups. You can go meet up and create groups. You can go to the park and create a group. Like find a way, just even connecting with one other mom and inviting somebody, and you just keep inviting other people,
Yes.
So
yes, that really helps.
Yeah. I love what you do. Tell us how we can find your book.
It's, you can find it through Praeclaris Press, which is, the press, obviously, Praeclaris. I send people to order through them, or Amazon. It's on Amazon, and there's Kindle on Amazon. Okay. I don't sell them through me anymore because it's just too much. Go to the press, go to Amazon. For some reason, me in the post office and kids, and just I like to keep things simple.
It's hard to get to the post office. I had a dad tell me one time, I just don't understand why she can't go to the post office and pick up that package for me. And I'm like, do you realize, and I came to her defense. I'm like, do you have no idea how hard it is to take a baby, get the baby into the car seat, drive to the post office, take the baby out, hope they didn't need to eat or change a diaper, and then go in there and wait for however long to, like, it's not easy to go to the post office.
No.
I think it's getting easier. There's easier methods nowadays, but it's not easy to go to
It
the
is,
post
and
office.
it's easier now that my kids are older, but I'm always looking ways to simplify, and I'm like, they'll get the book out real fast. I'll let them do it.
I love it. Yeah, simplify. That's good. That's a good added bonus tip. However you can make it easier, do it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Is there any other parting wisdom or anything you want to say before we go?
Just, one of my favorite quotes by Aviva Romm is, a good mother, something like, a good mother will give all of herself, but she has to have a self to give.
Oh.
So really, you're going to be a good mother no matter what, but recognize the importance of filling the cup, as it were.
Yeah, I feel like several interviews I've done recently, and that's been one of the common themes, like, we've got to take care of ourselves before we can give to anybody else, right? Like, it's usually we're at the bottom, and there you can do it until there's nothing else, and then we're totally depleted, and then what happens, right? So put yourself at the top of that list. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to be coming.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. It was so nice chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.